All right, yo, what's up, everybody? So today I'm going to be showing you how to use throttle stop and MSI Afterburner for your computer to make it run smoother and to even clock out the graphics card and kind of just teach you how stuff works. Because, it took me a minute to figure it out, so, why not just put it all in one video? So here are the two programs that will, if you cannot like control your computer, or like you are kind of a beginner, this will totally help you out. So first off, we're gonna start in throttle stop. And what throttle stop is it pretty much just what's it called? It edits the way your CPU performs, or you could even say optimizes how it performs. So let me just show you when I first, no, it wasn't like that. When I first started using it, I would say like these were on, and yeah, then you go into here and you can affect the voltage and stuff, but we'll get into that. Go move this to the side. All right, so let me show y'all what I did and what you can do. Okay, pretty much there are a few options that you're gonna want to kind of like prioritize. So first option is speed shift, EPP. I don't know what the EPP means, but pretty much this program is, I mean, you don't know what it means, but it's kind of like speed step. It's a newer version of speed step. It's like, it pretty much tells your processor this, we're going to throttle, not throttle, but we're going to like, when your processor is idle, we're going to make it, or when your computer is idle, we're going to make your processor idle too to save you power, right? And then when you're doing something, we're going to up it for you so you can use your computer like you should. Now, speed step does that the same, it kind of does the same thing, but it's program oriented and it's like outdated technology. So we're going to be running with speed shift, and this is the first option you want to start on all computers that you use, that you want to do this on, right? So it's going to start at a value 128. Now let me explain the values. The higher value is, it means it will be more aggressive in tuning your computer. So even right now, my Camtasia might lag, but you see how it throttled my megahertz or gigahertz to 1.3. It's because this is like super, if you are looking for battery power, or like if you're using a laptop or a computer and you want, less wattage going through, you turn this higher, right? And then say I set it to 0, you're going to see this bump up to 3.8. My processor goes up to 4.1, but I have it kind of undervolted and underclocked right now. So yeah, so pretty much at 0, it will go to the max 3.8, whatever you have it set to, and it will stay like that nonstop. And if you put it in the middle, you're going to want to play with this number, but I like it at 86 because you see how I'm kind of recording right now. And I'm showing y'all this video. Well, because it's at 3.8, well, I mean, it's high. It's a high clock speed right now because I'm working, and I like that. And when my computer's idle, it lowers the CPU. And like, this was a very important thing to me, like, because my laptop gets hot when I first did this and I watched some videos, they're like, oh, you got to set this to 0 or set it to 128. But man, dude, like, my computer was hot, or my laptop was hot at 128. It was better at 128, but So I set it to 8. Someone told me to set it to 0, so I did. Stupid idea. Anyway, I like mine at 86. You're going to want to play with this number and, you know, just run some things and like play some games and, you know, adjust it accordingly. It's really not hard. You'll figure it out and you'll find the perfect like sweet spot number. So that's mine. I like 86. And next up, disable turbo is a pretty important function. So say your computer is like super hot. Mine's not that hot right now. But say it's super hot and like, I don't know, it lags when it gets hot, you know, it throttles. You can always disable turbo. And what disable turbo means is say you have like a processor, you can look up the, you know, the model processor. And mine runs at 2.2 gigahertz base speed, right? And obviously higher is better. Wow, my computer did not. Okay, 2.2. Why does it do that? Okay, 2.2 is my base speed, right? So when you enable turbo, it turbos up to do better at like different processes. And if it's within heat range, it will like it will stay turboed, which is a good thing. But like with speed shift, if your computer's idle, you don't really want it to be turboing because it'll get, you know, it'll stay warm. Anyway, so you can always disable turbo if you want, and this is good for like saving battery or lowering the temperature of your computer or laptop. I figure laptops will probably use this more because computers you can like overclock and stuff. Laptops, I don't know. If you got a gaming laptop, you really want to fine tune it like this. Most of the time, I don't touch this. I like my turbo. You know, I have a cooler and I did the repaste and my processor is very cool. But if your computer gets hot and it lags, you could always disable turbo and see if that helps. Right? BD Pro Shot. This is a temperature limiter, which I don't know if this is like stock temperature limiter, and a lot of the time I would suggest you guys all turn this off. It will limit your temps, or say your temperature is like reaching 75 or something. It will like limit your CPU. It's just weird. I don't know. Turn this off no matter what. C1E. What is C1E? I kind of forgot what C1E was. Not very important. You just want to leave it on. It does something very small, but it's not very important. I mean, okay, some people it might be very important, but for now it's whatever. Because it's more advanced, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, so now we're gonna click FIVR. Right, and this is going to tell you this is where you go into undervolting and underclocking your CPU, of course. Okay, so here it is. Pretty much, let's start up here. Pretty much these are just templates, like profiles. You know, I just keep mine on one, so you could set it to whatever, and they're all different. You know, say you got battery saver over here and you speed shift all the way up and disable turbo, whatever. I keep that as a cooler, so it'll like cool my computer when I click cooler or whatever. But for now, I just leave it at performance. It's what I always run. CPU cores, don't touch this. All right, and then here, this is where it gets a little tricky. So these are your clock modifiers, turbo ratio limits. So you pretty much modify your turbo. A higher number is the max number, and a lower number is what it kind of clocks down to when all 6 cores are running. For me, you might have 4 or 2 cores, but yeah. So pretty much, I kind of turn these down a bit as it goes down. I don't really know why I did that, but it helps my computer stay nice and cool. And if you want to mess with these, I would suggest having them kind of set in this 41, 40, 40, 39, 38, 37. Like you kind of want to keep that 2 and 3, keep them the same. 4, lower it. 5, you can, I don't know, I lowered mine, lower 6. Yeah, and so what this will do is, you see how I'm at 3.7 gigahertz? Say I lower like this, it will go down. I'm gonna have to apply it. But it will just lower my clock speed of the first core. Pretty much like say I'm running a web browser and then my clock speed shoots up when I open up the web browser. Keeping this number high will keep it running quick, like as soon as I open that browser. If I turn this all the way down, it'll be slow to start. But my first core, it's gonna take all that heat, and then it's gonna take all that like processing power and then dissipate it throughout the 6 cores. So that's how I like it set up. You can do the same if you want, but it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for like ultimate overclock, you could turn them all up, whatever. Next we got the fiber control. This is pretty much just, these are the 2 that you're probably going to want to mess with. You may want to mess with the Intel GPU, which actually I did too. Yeah, so let's start with CPU core. First you want to unlock adjustable voltage, and you're going to want to skip the voltage. Unless you're overclocking, then you might want to mess with the voltage, but it's low-key dangerous. So I would suggest looking up your processor, making sure your temps are cool, and then you can mess with the voltage and the offset. But for now, I'm going to kind of focus on underclocking, and I'll hint there. So if you look up your processor and find an overclock guide, then you could do it. But because this is like a general guide, not specific, I'm sticking with the voltage here. Alright, so when it comes to underclocking the offset voltage, a lot of the time people will be fine with going down to negative 125, right? And when you do that, you take the slider, slide it down, make sure it's on 125, boom, and you'll hit negative 125 MB. What that will do is kind of lower the amount of power going to your processor, and it will still be able to run these turbo rate, the turbo clocks, right? But you're just lowering the power, and yeah, you want to hope it works. So you're gonna kind of want to test it. Say you put it down to negative 125 and you apply okay, and then you run a game and like your computer crashes, then that means it's not the right underclock. So I found like my sweet spot between like 75 and 50, negative 75 and 50, and my processor runs just fine with that underclock. I think the reason for this is because processors are very like, they're like unique in a way, and some don't really need as much power as your computer or laptop is giving it. Thus, you can do stuff like this to lower the temperatures of it. Thus, it doesn't throttle. Like when you do some crazy intense stuff, it won't throttle. Like say if I was at 80 degrees right now, recording this video and showing this to you guys, on my 4K, whatever, had to throw that in, but it would be throttling down to like 3 gigahertz or, something like that, because in order to keep the temperatures low enough to be safe, pretty much, you don't really want this number above 80, 85, depending on, your setup. So back to the voltage, try negative 125. You could possibly even do more. You just click this 250 right here. But if you're going to go that far, you definitely want to read a guide specific to your processor. You can find your processor right here. So just search up that underclock guide. But you can also just do it by yourself. It's not too crazy, you know, as long as you stay within this 125 range. This is my sweet spot. You got to find yours. If by any chance it does freeze, so you do negative 125, it freezes, you hard reset your computer, and then you want to just set it lower, you know, kind of feel it out. These other numbers you don't really want to mess with. This is like amperages or something, I believe. You don't want to mess with that. Next up, CPU cache. Pretty much the same thing with the CPU core. I personally don't want to go too low with this one. I like that. My temperatures are good, but it's the same thing. You can go down to negative 125, fairly safe. Anytime you underclock, it's always going to be safe. So you don't really have to worry. The most that'll happen is it just shuts off or it crashes. So just hard reset, turn it back on. My sweet spot is 38. It's probably 75 to like 25, but I keep it here. Works good. So you guys do the same. Start, if you really want to, start with 75. And if that runs good, you'll see a little. Honestly, this stuff lowers your temperatures fairly good. You can get, almost 5 degrees Celsius off just by underclocking these things right here. And for the fun of it, we'll talk about the GPU. Your Intel GPU is your, HD 5500 graphics, whatever you have, along with your Core with your AMD or Intel CPU, you'll have a integrated graphics. Oh man, you'll have an integrated graphics with your processor or your motherboard, whatever. Probably processor. But you can lower the voltage for that too. And I keep mine fairly low here, so I'm at negative 85. Because I don't really use it, I have a dedicated graphic card. So my laptop likes to power limit. So because of that, I turn this down to get more power to other stuff. I'm running 3 monitors. It takes a lot of power. So I lowered this thing right here, the voltage. Temperatures are cool. I love this voltage. So yeah, same thing. You can go down to negative 125. I would start with just 75 straight down, all 3 of them. Apply it. Okay. See how it runs. And then go from there. I don't think I changed anything. Okay. Yeah, do all that. See how it goes from there. Then you want to save it right here. Click save. Turn on. Make sure it's on the whole time, by the way. And then boom. You've officially underclocked, or the same thing I forgot to mention. You can overclock these things. Probably the GPU. If you're running an integrated GPU, you might want to overclock this thing. Get some more power in there, some NV, whatever. And mess with that. You probably get your games to run a little better. So you could totally do that right here. So yeah, the only thing, you cannot just type in a variable. You have to set it. Anyway. Yeah, so if you're gaming, you could totally up this voltage right here for the GPU if it's integrated, and boom, you're cool. And by the way, if you have an integrated graphics card, no dedicated, you can stop right here. You're good. Look up a little tutorial on your GPU, search up your processor and find the GPU, and boom, you can overclock this thing, get some better frame rates. But if you have a dedicated, you're going to want to keep watching. So we have MSI Afterburner. Now, this is the second program to do. If you are looking to overclock your dedicated graphics card, which is what I do, so I underclock my CPU, overclock my dedicated. I don't get power limited as much, and yeah. So I would also recommend repasting your thermals if you're getting very, very bad thermal. But if you're getting good thermals, you can overclock. Bad thermals, you can underclock this thing a tad bit. I like to keep my stuff generally very, very safe. So we got a core clock and a memory clock. This is pretty much how fast your graphics card is going to run at. These are locked for me, but if you are going to unlock these or they are unlocked, you want to look up a guide for your graphics card. Even with these, you can look up a guide, or you can stay safe like I do. This will get me like 1 or 2 more FPS in games, and I'm like generally okay with that. You could also set profiles down here, you know, if you really want to overclock it. I think mine can go up to 1700 megahertz, and then you just boost this up right here, you know, up here, and I don't want to do it because I don't want to crash my system because my graphics card is very like timid, like it will crash. But yeah, so this is what you want to do. For here, you want to adjust these two and stay safe. If it happens to crash, make sure this is off. Make sure this is off when you're doing this. But if you do leave this on accident, hold left CTRL when your computer starts, and you're Gucci. And yeah, hope I helped you guys a little bit. Hope this video kind of run you on some game about these two things, and if y'all want to go even more in depth, you can, you know, look up some specific guides for your specific hardware. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, comment, and rate. If y'all learned anything today, if y'all have any comments, leave them down below. And thank you for watching. Peace out.